Hello, everybody. It is me, Pacific, coming to you. Well, not so live by the time you get this on a Saturday evening. Well, I had some thoughts, and they kind of materialized as the day's events unfolded. I was thinking, what is normal? What is the definition of normal? First of all, the definition of normal changes decade by decade. The prevailing majority of a community, a neighborhood, a group, a church, a workplace, what they would assent to, what they would do would be the prevailing definition of normal. Normal, and I didn't look this up, but normal is saying, that this group A over here tends to act this way when the weather's this way. That's considered normal. If one person, when the weather does this, out of group A, does something contrary to everybody else, they're going to say he's or she's not normal. We're living in interesting times. Many people believe that God's return is not far off. I don't know. Now, I believe he's coming back. When? I don't know. I went to a friend's house today, among other things, and she had an impromptu garage sale and asked some people from work to show up and had it in her apartment, and she told me to come on by, and when I came over, I didn't realize she was having a garage sale, and I banged on the door, and she let me in, and one of the other females I work with was there, and, immediately was like, whoa, what's she doing in here? Yeah, it's funny, I get so used to my time away from workplaces. And when I go to a friend's and I see somebody who I normally wouldn't associate with on my off time in there, it's like, oh, yikes. Well, this woman was there with her mother. And I just wanted to share to you that we had discussions about work, coworkers, the coming up date of going back to school, etc., etc. And something stood out. It's always stood out with her. She's a very attractive woman. Spanish blood, dark skin, slender, flat stomach. She's a pretty woman with black hair. Very hard face. Her face has a lot in, not in looks, but the hardness in her face is similar to somebody I knew very well. And as she was talking, she made it a point many times to mention certain men, certain women, that her language was constantly peppered with the F word and ASS and SHIT and all this in front of her older mother. And she said, she's smaller than me, a small woman, and she was bragging, basically saying how tough she is, and I'll stand up and I'll speak my mind, and people better just back away from me. And a lot of women in our society have become this way. Nothing new there. Part of me thought, any one of us could get the upper hand on you, lady, if it came right down to it. You're not all that tough. Pacific's stance is one I've never been impressed or enamored with tough talking girls. I find that as a form of insecurity, overcompensating for their small size, the little engine that could, whatever. It is from that same woman's mouth that I've heard her say, well, I'm Spanish blood and I don't like the Mexicans. And I'm sitting there going, boy, at first I didn't know you were Spanish. I thought you were Mexican too. On her fingers, it's interesting. She's got letters, looks like she took a ballpoint pen and real wide, just carved it in there. Got a tattoo on her back, on her arms. Missing some teeth. Other than the teeth, she's pretty. But her face is pensive. Her face has the look of a woman who could turn on you in an instant. And I listen to her, and she'll turn on anybody. She's sitting there talking about her closest friends and saying stuff that was true, but I thought, wow, just remember, Pacific, anything you say, she'll be burping that out somewhere else. And I thought, I'm sure. But she was talking about how good of a parent she was, how she raised wonderful, perfect children, and she didn't use the word perfect, but she was grandstanding. And why the video is called, What is the Definition of Normal, or What's Normal? Her daughters have tattoos. One did cat whiskers right out the cheeks with piercing and these big long needles sticking out. Very unattractive. The other one's got fish hooks. Bad case of halitosis. So does mother. Very bad breath. And we were talking, and her mother, that subject came up about different people we work with and how they think they're all that on a stick. And I said, there's only a handful of people that are somewhere in the 8 to 10 category to me. And I was bold, and I said, you're up there. You're attractive. You're very good looking. And the mother asked about her own daughters. The mother asked about her daughters, her grandchildren. I said, oh yeah, they're both very pretty. Now, Pacific did not say, well, I don't care for the tattoos and the piercings, and the one daughter, when she's been on my bus, has been very lazy. Doesn't do anything but text. And my overall picture of her, she's a slug. And mother was going on and on about how wonderful her daughters were, which I understand. And how she's so proud of them. Both those daughters that I'm referring to, both have had babies recently out of wedlock. The one is selling things at work to raise money to help her take care of her baby. Now, my personal thing is, I'm like, you know what? I don't support it. Work doesn't have a prohibition against it. Though they do have a prohibition against somebody coming in and making money. That if you're doing something for a cause, then it's okay. Her cause is raising her baby boy. And I thought, here's a mother who's talking pretty braggadocio, talking very tough. And myself is sitting there going, somebody could get the upper hand on you very easily. You're not big. And I don't know why, but a lot of women say that. And it's interesting. The conversation was going on about people in the break room and stuff, and she had commented that one of the women there, a very high-maintenance Christian woman, when she lifts her arm, all this is bat wings, marshmallow breasts that go like this when she moves, has princess stickers all over her bust for herself. And in the last year, I saw her be a little nicer, so I was more cordial to her. And this lady today tells me, oh, so-and-so, she said, did you see Pacific with that wig? He looks so stupid. That's so stupid. Why is he doing that? She claims that she told her, she goes, you're not wearing it. I don't understand what the problem is. He's doing it to just have fun and be funny. And this Christian woman that runs the sound machine at her church and thinks she's close to Jesus, she's not a nice person. Most of the people that I work with have had negative things to say about her. They've commented on her work ethic. They've commented on her, stuck-up attitude. And then when they found out she was a Christian, they started going, wow, she's not nice at all. I said, well, I know she was against the wig. She told me that's not you. And I said, well, it really doesn't matter. You're not my girlfriend. You're not my wife. You're not into me anyway, so nothing I do really matters or should matter to you unless it directly involves you. But this lady continued to talk, and she had a very high opinion of herself. And I said, we were talking about different people and dating, and I said, I noticed that the Hispanics don't date white guys. I said, she goes, why are you so concerned about that? Are you racist? And my friend jumped in and said, actually, I think really what's going on is Pacific feels like the Hispanics are being racist. And I said, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because this woman was going on and on about white people. And then her mother jumped in and said, we're not the ones that have ever had hatred towards white people, but white people look down on us. And I said, I disagree with that. I said, I've seen Hispanic and Mexicans and blacks and Asians look down on me for being white, as well as others that I know. I listened to these women talk, and it made me go, you know what, I'm glad I'm at the truck dealership. Just being around this makes me go, gosh, welcome to another school year with more of this. That a woman thinks that she's done a good job. Daughters have kids out of wedlock. They date their own kind. And their own kind craps all over them. And they don't end up getting married. Neither one of these women would be good wife material. They're pretty. But the one doesn't do anything. She's a slug. Sits all day and has a grumpy, moody look on her face and texts away. Gets more tattoos and piercings. I think it's time for Pacific to say, yeah, that's normal today. It's time for Pacific to acquiesce to the fact that many are getting tattoos, many are having babies out of wedlock, many are getting piercings, many are lazy. But let's shift into high gear now and say, but what's right? I realize that there's people on my channel that may have tattoos and piercings. Please don't take this as self-righteous or hating. It isn't. It is Pacific's explicit and express opinion that for the child of God, tattoos, we shouldn't do. Piercings, other than the earlobes for an earring. But I must be careful. Middle Eastern culture pierced the nose. India women had a ring through their snout. But what I see going on in America with the piercing and the tattoos is what they call body art. Honestly, I think ends up making a woman look worse. Or a guy. And I believe it's in Deuteronomy. It talks about tattoos and cutting the skin and doing all that. That tattoos come from a pagan-based culture, not a Christ-based culture. The girls today, you see it all over the place, piercing the belly button. All kinds of stuff around the belly button. I had a friend in Duluth who pierced her vagina or labia with an earring. What drives that? What drives the women to pierce their tongue? I've been told it's for oral sex. To me, because of what I've heard and I see that, I think, oh, yep, she does that. Pacific doesn't like to be uncomfortable. And sometimes I'm very uncomfortable. Heat, stresses of life, whatever. But to have something bouncing around on the middle of my tongue that's getting in the way of the palate of my mouth and hitting the bottom, I don't understand that. It's kind of like women I've seen that got too much hair and it's hanging down right over this eye, especially in the 80s. That was real big. Poking them and this and that. And I just think, wow, why be uncomfortable? When I wore the wig, it was fun, except when it got hot and I'm sweating back under here. And every time the wind would blow in through the driver's window and it's blowing in my face and I'm constantly going like this, I'm like, you know what? I love long hair on a woman, but I don't like it on me. This is the pain in the bottom. What's interesting is we've seen a shift culturally now where more acceptance is being given people that are doing the outrageous, people that are doing the tattoos and the piercing, big group of people now. And what we're seeing is people looking at those of us that want to be wholesome and they're laughing. Pyramid Head did a video today talking about women want the bad boy image, but yet they want a nice guy. And you can't have both. This woman finished up her braggadocio and tough talk and said, I don't want a relationship. I can get any guy I want. If I wanted somebody, I could have him. Always, the civic has to step back and say, listen to what she's saying. Who's her master? It ain't Christ the Lord. Girls who think they can get any guy they want are arrogant, stuck up, conceited, proud. That's not humility. She's good looking, fleshly good looking, except for this, except for the clenched face. And even me, I've never, ever been rude to her. And I remember a year ago when I was growing my hair out long, one of the other guys came in the room and started making a comment, when are you going to cut your hair? I said, I'm not. I'm going to grow it out. Well, it looks like a mess. I said, well, but that's what I'm doing. And she laughed and mocked. Oh, wow. In this world, it doesn't matter if you're nice to people. Darkness hates light. And ultimately, and always, darkness will always gang up against the believer. Doesn't matter if you're nice. Doesn't matter if you show them the love of Jesus. The world hates God. It's going to hate you. But the world is redefining normal. Rather than rehash and beat a dead horse, it's all around us. That as the age we're living in continues to get more jaded, more calloused, more disconnected from their conscience and that conviction, it will continue to escalate. It was just brought to my attention the other day that Planned Parenthood is selling baby parts, and that there was discussion in back rooms where people were laughing. They work on the inside, laughing about this, thinking this is funny. That people could be so calloused while they're alive and they're protected to laugh at babies being killed and which body parts are going to salvage, and laughing about, can we do something where we don't have to hear the crunching noise? Crunching when they crush the baby in the womb and crush it in certain places so it preserves other organs. That's disturbing. And then I heard today, my son actually showed me this. He showed me the Minions thing. I said, oh yeah. He goes, they're everywhere, man. He says, look at this, Dad. And he showed me where in Hitler, World War II, that Hitler called them minions. because the Germans would laugh at the funny way the Jewish people talked. Mockery, making fun of them. And then it dawned on me that we must be careful that we don't leap out and go crazy. Is Minions just an extension of the growing anti-Semitism? Others would say, come on, Pacific, you're going too far. It's a kid's show. Yeah. There's a lot of things that are kid shows or kid speak. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Do you know what that's about? It's when they were burning the Jews. Pockets full of posies. These are nursery rhymes. These are cutesy kid songs, right? Do you know how Hitler was successful in getting people to embrace his tyranny? It started in the textbooks. Started with little innuendos talking about the Jews were very successful banking other things, and they started making digs little by little. They're greedy. They're taking all the wealth. They're destroying our economy. They're this. They're that. And educators have learned that if you want to change a society, even if you're lying to people, keep saying the same thing over and over again, eventually people start to believe it. I see so many American women that have a very overinflated opinion of themselves. It's based on their looks. It's based on the media. It's based on everything catering to our innate selfishness. I can get any guy I want. And I ask myself, could she get you? Only in the flesh. But you know what? People with tooth damage and missing and discoloration is kind of a turnoff. But more than that, her heart, tough talking, Spanish blood, the angry temperament of, I'll get in somebody's face and I'll do this. Now, don't get in my face, lady, because if you do, you're going to meet up against Irish, and I can stand my ground too. It's very unsettling when women talk like that, because we men were taught not to hit women. And yet at the same time, when women act like that, it's like, oh, I wish somebody would teach her a lesson that she never forgets. It's not the job of a woman to be like that, tough talking, foul. The definition of normal today is not the same as it was back when I was born. And it's continuing to change every single day. Many people think that they're pretty perfect. Many people today think they don't sin. Many people think they're good parents when they're not. Many people think they're God's gift to women or God's gift to men. I think I'm going to go to the Bible and ask for that to define what's supposed to be. The Bible defines normal as all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. That Jesus Christ was the one who wasn't normal. He came along and said, I didn't fall short of the glory of God. I am God. So don't be normal. Be abnormal. Put your faith and trust in Him. Ask Him to cleanse you and forgive you, and ask Him to help all of us become the people we're supposed to be. When we traffic in this world, it's hard because we know that we're not going to be the popular ones with our message. But always stand back when you listen to people talking and see how much bragging comes out, how much puffing of the chest, how much grandstanding they do, and that'll tell you where they're at, tell you who their master is. Definition of normal. It's not the same anymore, folks. This is Pacific signing off. Bye-bye.